Hello and welcome to my second part of my logic series. And today I'm going to be going over these lovely little guys called our storage logic gates right here. So they can be crafted with 3 coils and two iron frames and 2 gears. And they have a couple different modes. So let's look at them real quick. So we have our AND mode, we have our NAND mode, we have our OR, we have our NOR, we have our XOR, and we have our NIXOR. So I'm just going to be going over every single gate and how they can be used. And first, we have our AND gate. This one's pretty simple, and you can probably guess. You have to have both your inputs on, and it's going to turn on. So what kind of application is going to look like is, do you see we have our AND gate here, and it's connected to 2 storage logic gates, all right? This storage logic gate is for the copper. So once there's 4 copper in this one, it's going to open. It's going to turn on, sorry. And this one's set to the tin. So once there's 1 tin, that one's going to be set on. So I'm going to grab a copper right here, put it in, and you'll see this one's going to turn on, and that's going to put our cranes on. And from that, this is going to get loaded up with 1 tin and 4 copper, just like that. And then it's going to turn right off again. So just going to bounce off it real quick, and we're going to skip ahead a tiny bit. But this is our NOR gate. So our NOR gate is kind of like an opposite AND. It takes 2 off signals and sends it on. So it's basically saying not option A or option B. It wants them both to be off, all right? So next, we're going to move to our NAND gate. All right, so for our NAND gate, it is basically saying, I don't want them on at the same time. All right, so we can have one on, we can have the other on, but we can have both on at the same time. All right, so an application for that can look something like this. So say we have some fire logs in here. They're going to go into this barrel and then get put into these. But it can be kind of hard to control the ratio. So if these guys end up getting too full, then we can start having spills and it's going to clog and it's going to be a huge mess, right? But with our NAND gate, if both of these are sending that they're full from these storage logic gates that I'm standing on right there, then it's going to turn this storage crane off, and we would not have any leaks at all. So I'm just buying a bunch of fire logs real quick. Oh no, I shouldn't be buying fire logs. My bad. I should be buying logs, but that's fine. Just give it a second to clear. Not gonna be full, are we? No, okay. Okay. So now I'm actually gonna buy logs. As you can see, it's all going into this barrel, and these are getting filled up, and we can see it's starting to stack up, and now these gates are turning off, and then that crane is now off. So in a system like this, you can see there's still a lot coming through. That's because this crane's set to be going too fast. So if we had that on a 2, oh, I see, okay. I set these up wrong. That one's supposed to be on a 2, and these are supposed to be on 1s. Okay. But you should be able to see the idea from there. So if this was actually ratioed right, we would have stopped with some still in this barrel, so we wouldn't have had that one come through and overflow it. But other than that, we're all good. So moving on to our next guy, we have our OR gate. So that means if either of these is on, it's going to send an on signal. So we can have one on, we can have the other on, or we can have both on. And that is going to send an on signal. So an application that I like to use for this is, say we have our trees right here, and we have two storage logic gates seeing if they have seeds in them. So what we're going to do is we can take a seed out from here, put it back in the barrel, and we're going to send it on so we start getting some seeds back into here. All right, just like that. And the seeds are refreshed. And this will work if we do it for both of them too. There we are. There's one. And the second one's coming right up. Voila. Wonderful. Next, moving on to our next guy. Now this looks really complicated. It is complicated, but just giving you guys actually kind of useful example. So these next two aren't so much more for like general factory use and more so for like computer logic, but they still can be useful. So here's our XOR gate. So this doesn't want them to be on at the same time or off at the same time. So it wants them to be opposites. So what we can get from that is we can get a system where only one of these can be on at the same time. So if you see, we can turn this guy on over here, and this guy's going to start going, and you can see our green bar is moving forward. But if you turn this guy on, now all of a sudden, both their hammers are going, but I have a loop going through here that ends up actually resetting both of these guys. So the green bar is never actually progressing. And then we can turn it off over here. And then this guy's going to start going. So how this all works is we have our XOR gate. And this XOR gate goes into, now this is a bit lopsided because I was a bit lazy, but still works. So this XOR gate goes into this signal splitter and this signal splitter, and then also goes into this NOR gate right here. So if you remember, we have our AND and our NOR, which are basically just opposites. So from this logic splitter, it goes into this AND gate, this OR gate, and this NOR gate. This NOR gate then goes into this OR gate, and this OR gate then goes into this AND gate, and the AND gate has our on-off switch, which then goes back into our XOR gate. So it's really complicated. I'm going to zoom out so you can pause the video, take a sec to understand what's happening, and then we're going to move on to the other side. Other side's a bit more simple. It doesn't have that entire loop going on. It is just this logic splitter that goes into this AND gate, which is connected to the logic lever. And so that's our XOR gate example. Bit complicated, but these guys will never be on at the same time. Now this guy's gonna go. Now this guy's gonna go. So now we're gonna move on to our last guy. Now I was thinking, but I just could not come up with a really useful example for the XOR gate. But basically, this guy is the opposite of the XOR gate. Instead of wanting them to be opposites, it wants them to be the same. So for it to be the same, can't be split like that. Just like that. So if you wanted to, you could probably end up combining the XOR and the XOR gate into a system where these guys could not run at the same time. But the first one that was on, so this guy's going on, right? So this guy's on just right now. If we turn this guy on, this guy wouldn't be running, and this guy would still be running, if that makes sense. So combining those, you could do that, but it was a bit too complicated for this video, but I will definitely be doing a system like that in future videos. Alright, with that, feel free to pop any questions in the comments, and thank you guys so much for watching. Bye bye!